questions in advance,
Okay.
because it becomes less spontaneous then,
Okay.
you know.
Right.
Are you going to be over there?
I'll
We'll
sit, I'm gonna sit right next to the camera, so
Yeah.
you're looking at me.
Sure.
Good.
Okay.
You can start talking whenever you want.
Okay.
You got the other camera ready?
Are we ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
You're gonna
Even
be
though you
look-
don't need to,
You're gonna look at him.
if you could introduce yourself, that'd be great. Everybody know who you are.
No, no. The minute I'll tell you about everybody knows who I am. My cousin from Ireland came over, and at one point in breakfast, she said, "Every time I've ever been out with you, people come up and talk to you, and do you ever get tired of that?" And I said, "I love it. It's one of the best parts of the business is that people that you've never met." Or that you haven't seen for a long time, as in your case, you get a chance to meet and find out about, and who else gets to do that? So we went from breakfast to the movies, and it was a Harkins Theater, and I have a pass to the Harkins Theaters. I gave the girl at the box office the pass, and she said, "What film are you here to see?" And I told her, "Do you have any identification?" My cousin collapsed in hysterical laughter. Oh. No, so I promise you don't just make the assumption, you know. Okay?
Right.
Pat McMahon, KTAR, AZTV, The Idea Factory, and wherever else I can pick up a buck. We're on, aren't we?
Yeah, that one's on.
I'm leaving it up to you. My entire career is in your hands.
Well, tell us about your relationship with Bill Heywood.
My relationship with Bill Heywood is one that makes me smile every time I think about it, because I not only thought of him as a close friend, but also as a consummate professional. This was a guy that had the pipes and had the imagination, sense of entertainment, all the things that it takes to create a career. And that's what he had here in the Valley. I met him when I first came to town, 1960, and I decided to come where it was warm, May in 1960, after the Army. I wanted to get the khaki out of my system. And so I was on my way to New York without a job, but if you're a broadcaster, then you just go to New York. And I never thought that somebody wouldn't hire me. But I was here for a very short period of time, fell in love with the town, and started handing my resume out to the various television stations. Went into Channel 12, and Heywood was in the hallway. We met, hit it off right away. I think he was from Newton, Kansas, and I was born in Leavenworth, Kansas. No prison jokes, please. And we just really had an immediate communication, and it never stopped the entire time that he and I shared this market.
Why did he come here?
Why did he come here? Probably because he didn't want to stay in Newton, Kansas. I don't know where Bill was right before here, but it was in a small market, and he came here, I think, probably like most of us, either out of curiosity or because a job was offered to him. But you know, the vast majority of us, when we get employment in a city like Phoenix, Al McCoy, Heywood, me, a lot of us who have been privileged to stay for a long time, we take a look around and say, now let me see, where else is more attractive? New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. You might make a little more money or not, but any of the profit that you would gain would be neutralized by the amount of underwear you'd have to buy, the long johns, just to live in those places. So we chose this place. Ken Dana. Ken Dana is a guy who grew up here, of course, in a broadcast family. Ken Dana said one time at an award ceremony, he said, a lot of us in this business, we aspire to get to the next larger place, the next larger market. We're always moving up as far as population is concerned. And he said, a few of us, and he looked at me at the table that I had, he said, a few of us decided we were going to stay and let the market grow around us. We were lucky. Bill was at KTAR Radio long before I ever got there. Bill was a personality on KTAR Radio when it was a music station, a pop music station. And Al McCoy was on the staff. Gentleman who was the general manager, I didn't know, but later he turned out to be my father-in-law. And he still didn't hire me. That was the kind of wisdom, of course, that allowed him to be important in this business. But Bill was very successful on KTAR as a disc jockey. And then he really found his niche at KOY. KOY, who continued to remind us to stamp out four-letter radio.
What were some of your early memories of Bill, working with him, hanging out with him, and just being part of his life?
I worked with Bill for a short period of time at KOY before I came to KTAR. But most of the time, we were just hanging out as buddies, as much time as you have in this business to hang out with anybody. We would find ourselves at an event, and sometimes at the same table. And sometimes we would just go out for a beverage and chat about the market, talk about other people that never found out how we felt about them. And Bill and I just always had a real chemistry. It just worked out that way. We liked many of the same things. We liked the same kind of music, the same kind of humor. That's one of the reasons why I used to listen to him all the time on KOY. Great morning man who told me one time that he'd been getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning for virtually his entire career. And he hated every day that he had to get up at that time.
He was well recognized in the industry. From your point of view, what set him apart from all the others that he seemed to rise above?
Bill was different than most because a lot of the disc jockeys, a lot of the talk personalities are good at what they do, but they don't necessarily stand out uniquely as an individual personality, or whatever it is that memorable quality is. Sometimes it's a voice. I fortunately was gifted with a voice that always sounded chapped. And there are a number of broadcasters who said early in my career, listen, don't be disappointed if you don't stay in this business a long time. You don't have a voice for it. But I think that it was the fact that I sounded different that allowed me to stick around. Bill had great pipes. He had a truly rich professional voice, but he also had a mind that was imaginative, that allowed him to be a little ahead of the audience, so that the audience would almost always be wondering, what's he going to do next? And that makes for a long career.
What was it about his personality that came over the airwaves that people were so attracted to?
Smooth. It's the word I always heard about him. Smooth personality, but not smooth oily. You know, there's those smooth, oily guys that try to sell you things late at night. And he was a guy who just talked to you, but it was just one of the smoothest personalities that I ever knew, on and off the air.
What do you consider his greatest achievement?
Bill Heywood's greatest achievement: being successful, being on top of the ratings, and his personal popularity with his audience, tremendous loyalty. I mean, people listen to Billy in the morning and wouldn't even consider going to another radio station. There was no button pushing when it came to Heywood. He had this incredibly loyal audience. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that he knew how to do that which sets the show business people apart from people who are only interested in being broadcasters. And that's a fine career. But the show business people know how to entertain you. I think that Heywood influenced a lot of young people to take chances, to be a little risky on the air. And by that, I don't mean Howard Stern risky. I mean classy risky. And he would bring people in from the hallway. He would talk to the cleaning people as they were walking by. He said, well, wait a minute, hold on, get Willard in here. And he had a great relationship with the weather guy and with the sports guy. And he had a crew of his own, a couple of local actresses that did voices, were regulars on his show. So it wasn't just Bill introducing a recording artist. Anybody can say, here's Ed Ames. But he was a guy who, in between the records, kept you interested. Oh, and by the way, one other thing I should tell you. You can do that in this business and still not have a long career unless you sell stuff. And the reality is that unless you're on PBS doing pledge drives, it's called a profit-making industry. There are a lot of radio stations that would like to be profit-making, but aren't, because they don't have a Heywood. But when you've got a Heywood, you also know that you can sell a lot of products, that you can sell a lot of commercials with Bill as the talent. And he did commercials as well as he did his show. I think the inspiration to do entertaining things, goofy stuff, if you will, crazy, unpredictable sketches, is called maintaining your employment. Bill and I didn't know one another socially so well that it would be a nightly or weekly thing that we would have dinner together or that we would go out for drinks. Most of the time, you're at the station long enough that you also enjoy just staying home. But I can only tell you that if anybody asks me where Heywood hangs out, where it is that he would go on a regular basis, it was a place that would be upscale and as classy as he is. I was at a radio station called KRIZ back during the grandeur of AM rock and roll radio, Chris versus Crux, and what fun that was. But when people came to work for us, they didn't leave. They weren't on their way from Denver to Los Angeles, or if they were, they changed their minds. in those days in the 60s, we thought, will anybody ever come here for a big concert? We didn't get a lot of the big musical productions. We didn't get a lot of the Broadway shows, and we didn't get a lot of the rock groups. And then Chris brought the Stones in, the Coliseum. And I mean, it was insane. It was crazy. And the Stones had a great time, terrific concert. And that was kind of the beginning of all the biggies showing. Now you don't have time to go to all the things that there are. It just keeps getting to be a more exciting place all the time. A little less exciting because Heywood's not here. Bill, if he found out that he was being inducted into the Arizona Entertainment Hall of Fame, the Arizona Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame, he would say probably, first of all, well, which part am I being inducted into? Because I sing with the records every once in a while, so it could be the music, and certainly I've been involved with entertainment for a long time. He would probably say, with his attitude toward trophies, plaques, and recognition, wow, I am really honored. Is there any money involved with this plaque or this trophy? The people that are the real pros, the people that are the folks who trod those pathways and showed a lot of other people how to do it right, to do it for a long, long time, and to be successful at that. And Bill was not dated. So you could listen to a Heywood broadcast now if you were 20, 21 years old and get a lot out of it as somebody who was teaching them how to be, later in life, inducted into the Arizona Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame. Don't say we're almost done in this business.
I'll remember that. Believe me.
Boy, for me, it's a great honor to even have the name Bill Heywood attached to Pat McMahon in any way. And what a special time this is going to be. Where he's supposed to be, in the Arizona Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame. You know why? Because he's as good as they get.
Great.
Okay?
I've done this once or twice before.
Pardon me?